Thank you for your invitation to participate in this hearing. I'm Mary Filardo, and I'm honored to be here today. I'm a longtime DC resident whose children went to decrepit public schools here in the nation's capital. Seeing that my children and so many others were spending their school days in classrooms that were baking hot or too cold, in buildings with leaky roofs, fire code violations, asbestos, and poor air quality, this inspired my life's work. I founded the 21st Century School Fund to provide research, model policies, and advocacy to eliminate the structural inequities in public school facilities. The success of our efforts in the District of Columbia Public Schools led to the expansion of this work in other cities, states, and the federal government. Deficiencies in our nation's public school facilities have been well known for decades. We know that lead paint, asbestos, PCBs are harmful, that all schools must be ADA compliant, that schools in severe weather zones must be resilient, that schools must be built to educate a modern workforce, and that antiquated schools need to change to support changing codes and programs. My job today before this committee is not to convince you that these conditions are problematic. I do not believe a single member would argue that any child or staff should be in unhealthy, unsafe, or educationally deficient buildings. Rather, I will address the following. Does our country need a federal program to support school facilities? Is the Reopen and Rebuild America Schools Act the right federal solution? And does RASA belong in a major infrastructure package? First, why do we need a federal program? Our nation's public school facilities are critical to ensuring equitable educational opportunities. On average, schools are nearly 50 years old, and many have never been fully modernized. But our state and local system for funding public school facilities improvements is broken. Despite their best efforts, many districts are unable to raise the capital needed to address the shortcomings of their facilities. These challenges have resulted in gross disparities between the wealthy and poorer districts. Federal inaction to address these issues is exacerbating the inequalities. States provided only 18% toward district capital construction projects over the 20 years from 94 to 2013, resulting in nearly $500 billion in long-term debt for local school districts. The solution to these challenges lies in a local, state, and federal partnership with the state at the center. A federal role that builds state capacity to meet districts' needs in the most underserved areas is absolutely essential to reforming this broken system. Second, is RASA the right federal solution? RASA was developed over many years through extensive stakeholder input, including local and state practitioners, industry and labor representatives, and the civic groups working to improve child health, the environment, and the quality of public education. As a formula grant to the states, RASA would establish a federal education interest in public school facility issues without putting federal action in the critical path of state or local decisions. RASA addresses the structural inequities by requiring targeted federal funds to the lowest wealth and highest need school districts, but without mandating specific state programs on how to allocate funds. RASA gives states the capacity to assist districts, capacity for rural districts that haven't built or modernized a school in over a generation, and capacity for urban districts that are overwhelmed by the monumental scale of their capital needs. The capacity building that RASA would support at the state level will help districts meet the increasing complexities of educational facility planning, financing, design, and construction. States can reduce burdens on districts and reduce costs for taxpayers. RASA is smart public policy and is the right federal solution for these issues. Finally, does RASA belong in an infrastructure package? The public works traditionally funded with federal funds are not traditional infrastructure. It's just infrastructure that traditionally gets federal funds. In fact, public school facilities are the second largest capital outlay for state and local governments after highways. In a recent political poll, 70% of Americans agreed that public schools should be considered part of America's infrastructure. Roads and bridges get federal funds for the same reason our public school infrastructure needs federal funds. State and local governments can't raise enough revenue to support their capital needs. This is precisely why the federal government steps in. Applying this logic, this should be the same for our public school facilities. But despite their best efforts, state and local revenues fall short. In our preliminary analysis for the 2021 state of our schools, the gap was $40 billion a year in 2016 and is now $50 billion a year for 2020. Lastly, schools belong in the infrastructure package because, like most public works projects, school construction projects invigorate the economy. RASA will increase manufacturing, create 2 million jobs, and support building industry services. In summary, RASA is good policy, good politics, good business, and good for the future of our country and should be enacted. Thank you very much.